How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? AdRock is back, and now that Atlas Reactor is completely open with a free mode and a purchasable copy, we're going to do some more guides. This time we're doing a freelancer breakdown on Rampart. Rampart is that big, lovable, lunky, gentle giant of death and destruction. Well, technically he's more of a really cool robot savior, because the shield's kind of awesome. But anyway, if you want to find out what makes him tick and how my opinions gather on him, and stay around for the abilities and my thoughts and opinions. Rampart's first ability is Adamantium Flurry, a blast phase no cooldown ability which stabs in a straight line and whips the blade around, dealing damage to everybody adjacent to him. You gain 8 energy per enemy hit. Modifications include Area Suppression, increases the damage done to adjacent allies. Danger Zone, which will deal 7 additional damage to enemies hit by both the stab and the spin. Battle Rush, which will gain energy per enemy hit. And Deadly Stab, which increases the width of the initial stab by 50%. Rampart's second ability is Bulwark, a prep phase 3-turn cooldown ability which throws a shield about 4 squares wide, blocking attacks and then bashing enemies during blast phase, inflicting direct damage and then slowing them for a turn. You gain 6 energy per enemy hit and 6 energy for each ability blocked. Modifications include Defensive Posture. On use, you get 25 shield until the end of the next turn. Bull Rush, which will now root enemies instead of slowing them. Bunker, which gives you health back for every attack blocked. Kinetic Absorption, which will gain you energy for any attack block. And Reflective Shield, which will deal damage back to enemies whose attacks are blocked. Rampart's third ability is Fusion Lance, a blast phase 3-turn cooldown ability which impales an enemy, dealing direct damage and then yanking him back to you. You gain 10 energy if you hit an enemy. Modifications include Gone Fishin', which will now select the square that you want to knock them back to. Adamantium Tipped Blade, which will pierce through the first enemy. Plasma Lance, which increases the damage. And Rocket Lance increases the range. Rampart's fourth ability is Unstoppable Force, a prep phase 3-turn cooldown ability and a free action, which gives Rampart Unstoppable and Haste for the turn, and you gain 5 energy upon use. Modifications include Show of Force, which also gains you Might for the turn, Special Forces, which will gain allies nearby Unstoppable for the turn, Invincible, which will give you 15 shields per turn, and Terrifying Presence, which will slow down nearby enemies for the turn. And finally, Aegis Protocol is Rampart's ultimate ability. It's a dash phase, no cooldown ability that must require 100 energy to use. Rampart will dash to a target location, then throw his shield up in the direction you choose, blocking attacks for the turn. Enemies you trample over take direct damage and are slowed. It will also ignore cover. Modifications include Live to Fight, which increases the damage. Engine of War, which will root all targets that are trampled over. Rocket Boosters, which increases the maximum distance of the charge by 2, and Protective Wake. Allies that are crossed over or hit by the charge will gain shield for the turn. So Rampart's a close quarters juggernaut capable of taking up any punishment you want to throw at him, and while he really can't dish out as much pain himself as other freelancers, he's really vital to most teams because of his stalwart stature and surprising utility. I repeat, Rampart is not a damage dealer and should rarely be played as such, at least in my opinion. Don't look for opportunities to shine individually, as he's as much more suited to set up and pull off big combos with other teammates. All of his abilities are either extreme, either up close extreme and personal, or long range capable, so be aware of your cooldowns and surroundings to see which part of your kit is most effective at a given time. Getting caught out and split from your team is a little more severe for Rampart because of his gap closers. They're either long cooldown comparatively and not an instant same turn gap closer, or they're part of his ult, so you have to be really aware of high mobility teams, or if you decide you want to get tunnel vision and chase down on a target. Keep in mind that Rampart's shield is not unbreakable. Any lobbed projectile, floor ability, or AoE casted around him, or any modification that will bypass cover will bypass the shield, so just be aware that you're not wasting a shield opportunity just to get knocked out or have your ally die anyway. Adamantium Flurry is a decent attack and should be used if nothing else in your kit is possible or you're surrounded, just to make them pay. Area Suppression is a decent default to lay a little extra DPS, but the skill's a little on the low end of damage to be really truly frightening compared to other freelancers. Danger Zone, God I love saying that, is the superior option I believe, but the high cost is hard to justify taking it ultimately. Battle Rush is a good option if you like flying across the map more and more and being a quasi-Asana, and Deadly Stab can help cover more area initially, but to be honest, it's not a favorite of mine when compared to the other options. Bulwark is Rampart's signature move that people love and hate. Remember that its width is only about 4 tiles wide, so it's really great in bottlenecks. and smart players will often skim shots off a corner to get around it. Defensive Posture is a bit of a newbie-friendly mod, and not in a bad way, so it helps you get used to proper placement or if you're surrounded. Bull Rush's root is really not to be underestimated, especially against melee-heavy comps, or if you catch up to a misplaced range freelancer that cannot move same turn. I prefer Bunker as the go-to, as I love to indulge my inner badass tank to protect my backline, and I always say survivability is optional to DPS, and helps keep myself in the game longer. Kinetic Absorption and Reflective Shield can basically do wonders on teams with great communication and on a nearby on-point healer, so you don't have to worry about personal survival as much and focus more on being a menace and being more reactive. Fusion Lance is not a bad attack, you just need to be wary of its distance between you and your target. At a 3-turn cooldown, it's just enough time for your opponents to notice you with it and then majorly punish you for it before they have to worry about it again. Beyond Fission can set up some great plays or displacement, and it's amazing for that, but 3 mod tokens is again hard to really justify in a pug environment. With the right communication, I can see it's being really fun. Adamantium Tip Blade is an inverted Aurora skewer, and if you've ever heard about my love in that video and gushing about how much I love control in Atlas Reactor, this should be a distinct possibility if you can afford it. Plasma Lance feels meh compared to the rest of the mods, but I guess it can help secure a kill. Again, for Rampart, I don't feel like damage is really his thing compared to the other stuff. And Rocket Lance is a great starter mod, as it allows for some leeway for beginners, and can help experienced Ramparts thread the needle on some slippery backliners and placements. Unstoppable Force is not a bad gap closer, but it's not instantaneous as most of the people on the roster have. On the flip side, giving him Unstoppable Force and that Unstoppable status effect means that Rampart goes wherever Rampart pleases, so nothing's going to stop him short of death while Unstoppable Force is active. Show of Force, again, isn't bad, and I feel like this is going to happen a lot for a lot of the mods here, but I don't feel that Rampart's damage is strong enough to repeat it. Special Forces is great if you have any other melee near you to benefit, and at one top mod token, it's not a bad choice in case you went heavy on something else. Invincible is not terrible, again, and the shield is really negligible. It's really more of a learning curve mod, and it helps against maybe walking over a trap. And Terrifying Presence is pretty cool and can help keep opponents locked down a little more efficiently. Aegis Protocol, it's one of the most visually satisfying moves in the game for me. There's something about becoming a runaway freight train and then saving a life, and, getting health back with the right mods, that feels exceptionally badass. It's also Rampart's only same turn gap closer. I have fun, but unless you're constantly in the thick of battle, you get maybe 2 chances to use it a game, so often players are kind of tempted to hold on to it for too long. If you see the opportunity, take it, because that really could be the turnaround of the fight. Live to Fight gives a minor damage increase, but again, damage and Rampart, whatever, but hey, that option's there if you want it. Engine of War is amazing if you plan your path correctly, and Rocket Boosters I really do like for early on if you're not super sure playing him, because it gives Rampart as much mobility as Asana's ult. While Asana can go to any ally in the game, Rampart just has this massive line he can get to. It can cover about the same distance. Most people kind of cover up the same distance with both. While 2 squares don't seem like much, it can either save a life or, come up short, so hey, it's your choice. Protective Wake reinforces Rampart's theme of the big friendly giant and can help cover allies that you won't be able to directly shield. So keep that in mind, as that's definitely an option for a more defensive playstyle. And so ends frankly, welcome to Atlas Reactor. It's live, it's free, do it, go for it. You can find me at Twitter at AdRockDraws, or on Twitch. I try to AdRockDraws. I try to occasionally, do some streams and tweet about stuff. So try and find me there. Talk to me in game. I love to try and talk a lot. People in chat are starting to find that out. But until then, just stick around at qtimes.com or youtube.com/qtimes for any new videos and all the other fun stuff. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace.